Right, so I'm Dibs. Not my real name, obviously, but it is a nickname that I've had since I was tiny, so there you go. In terms of pronouns, I'm completely indifferent. I don't really care. Call me whatever you want. So Virgil, or Max, whichever name ends up getting used on this channel, asked about our works in progress. So my main one at the minute is a fairy tale type thing that I'm doing with my girlfriend. She we ended up on a bit of a rant in a messaging and we ended up coming up with this idea for a fairy tale and all the characters who were going to be in it. So she blocked out the plot, the vague gist of it. We were kind of going back and forth a lot during this initial conversation as well. And now I'm the one who is writing it. It just occurred to me that I think I'm meant to be putting washing out on the line. Hang on. That was annoying, that killed my flow. I was talking about fairy tale. Right, so the main thing was annoyance at Disney's atrocious queer representation. So yeah, it was mostly frustration at that, and it's a cute idea having a Disney prince who needs saving and falls in love with their heroic saviour. So we came up with this outline. The protagonist is named Jasper. He is a delivery boy. I'm not sure I don't think he lives with his uncle, but we won't see the family that he does live with if he lives with his family, immediate family. We're only going to see his uncle, who is a wizard named Ben. And is no way inspired to any degree by any characters performed by Ewan McGregor at all. So yes, Jasper mostly runs errands and delivers various things on behalf of his uncle, Ben, to a cottage within a maze, a magical maze, although he's very insistent that it's not magical at all. And in the maze lives the witch, the Wicked Witch. Their name is Heli, short for Helianthus, I think. Whatever the scientific Latin name for a sunflower is, it's that. We shorten it to Heli or Healy, which means sun, which is wonderful. And we made efforts to try and keep it not being Tangled. But the more you think about it, the more we've kind of, we had to make a lot of effort to try and make it different. But then I just realised sunflower and how the flower entangled is a big deal because it comes from the sun, and the witch is oh dear. Okay, but the witch has, I guess, guardianship, not legal, but guardianship of Theodore, who is the Disney prince, although he's not aware he's a prince, much like Rapunzel. And the story kick-starts when Jasper finds a knight outside the maze. Her name is, it's spelt A-M-E, and we've decided that it would be funny and slightly realistic if even she doesn't know how to pronounce it, what the real way of pronouncing it is. Going to use a lot of different pronunciations, but it's very inconvenient because she has to introduce herself verbally to the main characters. I've just thought of a solution, just both times, because she has to introduce herself to Jasper and Theodore. Theodore on different occasions, because she meets one at a different time to the other, which meets Jasper first outside the maze. So just make her pronounce it differently both times. There you go, easy. But you can pronounce it loads of different ways. Amy is the obvious one, but also Amma, Aim. We think she's good at archery, and one of her kind of rivals within that sort of sphere thinks her name is Aim, and thinks it's very kind of arrogant of her to dare call herself Aim and then be an archer. You know, it implies she's got very a lot of faith in her own skills, and you know, she's, you know, good at it or whatever, but that's not how you spell it, my man. So the main three characters will be Amma, Jasper, and Theodore. Jasper being the main protagonist. The side characters will be Healy, the witch, and Uncle Ben, who his thing is that he collects names, because you know the myth of Fae and how you're not meant to give your name to the Fae because they'll have power over you or whatever. And you know, generally if you're living in a universe where that's legit, the best way of preventing that from happening, other than just not giving them their names, but that would be awfully, you know, impolite, is just to keep on collecting lots and lots of names. So every time the Fae ask you for a name, you can just whip out a spare one, and they'll just be going at it forever, trying to collect all your names, get your full name, and they'll never reach the end. So, you know, you're fine. High effort solution, but he enjoys it, I guess. He's got 7 of them, I think, 7 or 8, at the time that the story's set. I can't remember all of them. I remember that Ben is short for Benethan. He's a wizard. His tower... Oh, my girlfriend was like, his place should be like the wizard in Shrek, where it's just really unimpressive, just like a hut or a cave or something. And I was like, hang on, what if it's a wizard tower? Because that's very impressive. But like, the most unimpressive kind, most of it is underground. So you look at it from the outside, it's like, you know, 3 meters tall, you know, tall as a ceiling. But, and you're just like, this is kind of pathetic. You're a bit of a pathetic wizard, man. but you know, it goes down really far. I thought that would be funny, and so that's what that is. I'm not going to really describe the plot. It's going to be very, you know, cliche fairy tale type deal. Pretty predictable, but that's what you need from a fairy tale. They're not there to be twisty and turny as much as they are to kind of exist, have a message, do whatever. Right. So we've talked about work in progress. Number 1, fairy tale. Another one. Okay, so there's this film. Called The Island. It's directed by Michael Bay. And it is the dumbest film ever, and it's so much fun. Me and my girlfriend are big fans. It stars Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson in the leading roles. It's also got Sean Bean in it, and some other people who I've forgotten the names of, but exist. And its biggest flaw is probably that it's by Michael Bay. But like, it's really good. The first act is great, and then the characters kind of just lose all of their characterization for second into third act, wherein it's mostly chase scenes and explosions, and there are hover bikes, and it's It's on another level. It's great. I love it. It's so good. But yeah, I'm writing stuff to do with that, including the fan wiki, because apparently no one got around to it. I made one, and then someone else turned up and was like, oh, I was thinking of making one, do you want help? And I was like, because like I barely got anything done. I still have barely got anything done, but like I kind of want to be in control when it's in such an early stage, you know? But yeah, anyway, I've been writing stuff for that. Most of it's very, very dumb, very stupid. I've already uploaded like 2 things for it. The tag is sparse on AO3, it's hilarious. But the thing that I'm most proud of that I've ever written is called Make This Chaos Count. It is a fanfic for that film that was made using a very similar process to the one with Fairy Tale, in that my girlfriend blocked out the basic plot in bullet points, and then I wrote it over 4 months, and it's 14,000 words long. So it's relatively short. I'm a very slow writer. That's something that's probably going to come up a lot. I would say that it's quality over quantity, but like I can't guarantee quality either, because I'm pretty unqualified to be making any judgments about creative writing in any degree. My greatest qualification is having done GCSE English and got a high grade in it. And it was a high grade, and I'm, good at English, but it doesn't mean I'm in any way qualified to write anything. It doesn't mean that my writing's good. So there's that. I've always written very slowly. It's just the one constant in my life. Just so slow. I need to think through like every sentence before I write it down. I think school's time limits on writing essays and things in English. History and RE are worse than English for time. They really, really push you. My hands were dead at the end of those GCSEs. That helps being able to like structure thoughts, come up with, whatever you need to say in your essay, and then being able to write it out within, 50 minutes or whatever the time limit is. I may end up talking about school's English stuff and the qualifications and the papers and stuff, just because I might run out of things to talk about, and I'm a nerd. I know too much and I think too much about these kind of things, and I just want to explain them a lot, so that may come up. I've got very distracted. That was a massive tangent. But yeah, basically I'm a slow writer. That's something that the Make This Chaos Count took about 3 or 4 months on and off writing. Usually I manage about 300 to 500 words in a sitting, and then I kind of lose focus and have to go and do something else. I have, when I'm particularly motivated, which has only happened a few times recently, I can manage 1,000, 2,000 words in a sitting, but that's quite rare, and I need to be really on it for that to happen. Other works in progress, Star Wars stuff, mostly. I go through phases of being motivated to do certain stuff. I was in a massive writing kind of zone. I didn't write very much, but I was helping Max with, various works in progress and stuff like Superkids and whatever. I was in a writing mindset, and so I just wasn't drawing, which is my other main hobby, really. I'd like to say I'm getting back into drawing, but it's very tenuous at the minute. Most art I've done is the channel art for this channel, which I may be putting up a speed paint of in this video, we'll see. And that's a painting. Usually I do more, cartoony line art stuff. Usually all digital art. I use Clip Studio Paint for that. But yeah, because I get on different wavelengths, currently I'm not on a Star Wars writing wavelength. If I'm writing, it's other stuff. Like, I would like to get back into it. I don't quite enjoy being this unmotivated on that front. It may well be that, like, The Bad Batch is on, and I've been watching The Bad Batch more than anything. The Bad Batch is so good, guys. It's a good show. It's really good. It's really well animated. The character's good. Amiga is adorable. And I think that might be where most of my Star Wars energy is going at the minute. Also, anticipation for the other Disney Plus shows, the live action ones, because there aren't any other animated ones going at the minute. It's just The Bad Batch. So yeah, I'm mostly waiting for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because he's my favourite character, and he's great, and the actor's great. And I think the period of time that it's set in is interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see where they can find a story in it, that's for sure. But honestly, if it was just Obi-Wan being miserable in a desert for 8 episodes, I'd be fine with that. And there's also the Book of Boba Fett, which I think is coming out first out of all of the other live-action ones. It'll be fun to see Tamora Morrison in a leading role. That'll be good. And then also, after that, we've got Mando Series 3. Hell yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I haven't been writing Star Wars as much recently. I have works in progress in it that may or may not come up. Mostly I have just been writing the fairy tale. We don't have a title for that, or even a working title. I've just been calling it Gay Fairy Tale or whatever, because it is kind of gay. That's mostly what I've been doing with my time. I've been wasting my time. I've been playing The Sims. I've been writing the fairy tale, and I've been painting the channel art. So that's lots of fun. I'm known for being productive, so I'm not going to say how much of the time is being put towards productive things and how much is me just doing nonsense. But most of my rambling hasn't been about writing, and I apologise for that. But I'm sure I'll get better at that, and I'll think of more things to say. No doubt I will think of things to say. I think of things all the time. It's just never in front of a camera. My question to you guys is there any specific technique or trope or structure that you enjoy or would like to use in your writing? Why? And is there any work in progress where you have been able to use that? So for me, I'm a big fan of, I guess, achronological storytelling, which is, bouncing around the time a lot. So lots of kind of flashbacks, flash forwards, whatever. I find that kind of storytelling really interesting because the reader is more active. It's not just things happening, it's you trying to piece together all of this information. I enjoy it a lot, and I think it can kind of save an otherwise mundane or boring story. Unfortunately, I haven't had much reason to use it. I may find something. I sort of use it in my main Star Wars thing that I'm writing at the minute, which I'll probably tell you about in another video. But that's mostly just kind of bookending things with, a scene set in a different time, which I guess counts. In The Handmaid's Tale, which I bring up because I have read it for A-level. That was a school set text. That does, to an extent, employ storytelling not bound to a single continuous timeline. You get given a lot of information from the narrator off-read, and because the reader is kind of coming at it with a certain set knowledge, there's a lot kind of questions, and the reveal of information makes it an interesting book to read, even if the story itself isn't very active. a lot of the kind of... There's not much plot in The Handmaid's Tale, but there's still story, and it's still told in an interesting way. The thing that's keeping the reader gripped isn't like action scenes or people moving or even changing very much, although to be fair, Offred does change, but she's one of the only people who does. It's more the revealing of information and kind of the way that the reader's led along through it. Because, it's set in a dystopian society that, you have to assume came from somewhere. And so the reader is coming at it with kind of the questions of what happened. You don't really need to say what happened so much in the book, because, we know that if you say that the US existed in your world, that's enough to say, well, what happened to the US? Why is suddenly everything the way that it is in the world that you're showing to us? And so that keeps you engaged throughout. And she reveals all the kind of how we got here about midway to 2/3 of the way through the book. Nearish the end, but not too close, because that's not the true climax of like how she ended up in the system, how the country went the way it did from her perspective. And because she isn't important, her perspective is limited, and that, means that she's justified in not knowing everything or not wanting to think about everything. Her perspective is just something of an everyday person who kind of had these big things going around her. And there's the aspect of it being political and social protest writing, which is the topic that is discussed in the year that this is the set text. It kind of serves as a warning in the sense that she didn't quite catch on until it was too late, and even if she did, there wouldn't be much she could do about it. So yeah, Handmaid's Tale is a very good book. I would recommend reading it. It's kind of a modern classic for a reason. It has a lot to say about using narration. It has a lot to say about how you can withhold information from the reader in a way that engages them without you needing to resort to a heavy plot. It's a very introspective book, but it's very engaging. It does deal with heavy themes, watch out for those, but yeah, I would recommend it. It's a good book. I've been trying to convince Max to read more books because he's struggling with writing, and generally if you're hitting a place where you don't know how to write something, it's because you've not been reading as much as you should be. And, I might be a bit of a hypocrite because I don't read that much, like, at least not published books. So, but I have been reading. I've got The Handmaid's Tale sequel, The Testaments. I'm halfway through that. I kind of went through it second lockdown, so about January, February time. Need to finish that. I've started rereading the Alex Rider series, mostly just to see what it is like looking back at it. So I started watching the series on Amazon Prime. Good series, very good adaptational choices. I would recommend it. Still need to finish the Revenge of the Sith novelization. I'm only a few pages into that, by Matthew Stover. I have read stuff for school, so Handmaid's Tale, Dune by Frank Herbert, which I did for my NEA, and I got to write a creative writing piece for. Yay! The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner is an important book, but it's not very fun. It's the kind of book that you should read, and is significant, and it helps, I think a lot of people at the time were saying it helps humanize Afghanistan, where it's partially set, and it helps kind of put a face to the sort of issues of people in the time that it's set, and kind of exposes certain political and social issues, but it's not the most fun ride. It's very grim. It's very, very grim. It's lots of death. So read at your own peril, but it is important, as I say. So that's all stuff I've read in the last academic year for school. Oh, and Birthday Letters by Ted Hughes, which I also did for my NEA for the poetry section. It's fine, I guess. There's better poetry out there on better subjects. And I haven't read much of Sylvia Plath's stuff, so my perspective on it's quite limited. If you're not aware, Ted Hughes was married to Sylvia Plath, and she committed suicide not long after they split up, I believe. And Birthday Letters is a collection of poems he wrote trying to deal with themes around that, deal with his relationship with her, his thoughts about it, whether or not he thinks he understood her, which he makes quite clear that he doesn't understand her and he didn't understand her. And I analysed it through a feminist lens. It does have stuff to say in that sense, but I don't know if it's stuff that Ted Hughes meant to say. I may cover critical lenses, the little that I know about them, in a future video, because they are interesting, and I think it is important to look at the things that an artist wants to say and the things that they end up saying, because they can be two very different things, and it is, interesting and important to look at the differences and why they're there. At some point I also want to go into stuff I've noticed in Alex Rider, rereading it, little weird, of its time, sort of low-key bigotry that, it's just undertones, but it conveys subtle messages that, are important to discuss, and it is very early 2000s in them, in that it is just weird undertones that you also get in, Harry Potter or whatever. So that will be a fun thing to talk about. But yeah, I don't have much else to say in this one. I have other stuff to say, but I think we're probably out of time. I've been rambling for half an hour at this point. I hope I'm able to do this for a while, at least. We'll see how university goes, if it ends up happening, which I hope it does, but results day is still months away. I don't know what it's going to be like, so... But yes, hopefully I should be able to do this for as long as this channel lasts. Good to meet you. Yeah. Have a good day, and I will see you later.